Hare Krishna. Let us understand Bhagavad Gita as it is, written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. So let us understand these chapters section by section. Before we begin the discussion, let us offer our prayers to our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we will be understanding the fourth section of chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita. Fourth section is from Shloka number 17 to Shloka number 24. This section is entitled The Effects of Complete Knowledge. So let us understand this section. In the previous section, embodied spirit was described and how a spirit soul can become liberated with the help of transcendental knowledge. So in this section, Lord Krishna will be describing the effects of receiving transcendental knowledge. So let us understand this section. Tad buddhayas tad atmanas tannishtas tad parayana Gacchantya punaravrittim jnana nirdhota kalmasha. When one's intelligence, mind, faith and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Lord Krishna is the center of all knowledge. Bhagavad Gita focuses completely on the Supreme Lord Krishna. In the search for the absolute truth, various spiritualists, they try to understand the absolute truth in three ways. Some people, they focus on the impersonal aspect of the absolute truth, which is compared to the sun rays. And some people, they focus on the Paramatma feature of the absolute truth, which is compared to the sun glow. Those who study the sun rays, they are also students of sun, but they are understanding only the rays of the sun. Those who understand the surface of the sun, they know about sun rays and they know about the surface of the sun also. In the same way, those who understand the impersonal aspect of the Lord, they are understanding the spiritual effulgence which are emanating from the body of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. The Brahma Jyoti is an effulgence which is coming from the Supreme Lord. So Krishna is the basis of the Brahma Jyoti, which many people don't know about this. Those who understand more further about the absolute truth, they study the aspect of super soul in the heart. The Lord is situated in the four-handed form as Paramatma, who is witness of all our activities. He is Upadrashta and Anumanta. Without His sanction, nothing happens in this world, and He is the witness of all our activities. So those who understand the super soul, they are further advanced in spiritual understanding. But ultimately, those who understand Krishna, the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Person, from whom Paramatma is coming, all the Paramatma expansions in this world are all coming from Lord Krishna Himself, and the spiritual effulgence is coming from the spiritual body of Lord Krishna, the transcendental rays which are spread everywhere. Therefore, understanding Krishna as the absolute truth is a complete understanding of transcendence, and those who understand Krishna, they become completely free from this material energy and they proceed straight on the path of liberation. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. One who understands Vasudeva Krishna as everything, such a soul is a very, very great soul, and he knows completely about everything. He is having complete knowledge. So the symptom of complete knowledge is to understand God is a person, he is Lord Krishna. And once one understands God is a person, he focuses his mind, his intelligence, his faith, everything on Krishna and works only for pleasing Lord Krishna. So this is the central point of all Vedic scriptures, and one who comes to this conclusion is a great soul. Further, Lord Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Pandita Samadarshina. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcast. So here is one more symptom of a person who is in complete knowledge. One who knows that I am spirit, soul, and all living beings around in this world are also parts of Krishna. He doesn't make bodily distinctions among various social orders, just like a Brahmana is considered to be more elevated than an outcast laborer or Shudra. And there are differences in species of life. Totally there are 84 lakh species of life. So one who has awakened this knowledge doesn't make differences between the species, because ultimately in every species, in every body, spirit soul is the same. Quality of the spirit soul is the same. Krishna is Satchidananda. We are part of Krishna. We are also Satchidananda. So the soul in the body of a dog, the soul in the body of an elephant, the soul in the body of a Shudra, the soul in the body of a Brahmana, they're all the same. Therefore, one who has awakened his complete knowledge, he sees all living beings equally. He doesn't make any distinctions. So this is one of the effect of complete knowledge. Further, Krishna says, Ihaiva tayarjitas sargo yesham samye sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te sthita. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. So here again, the effect of complete knowledge is described by Lord Krishna. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. Just like the Supreme Lord, He is equal to all. He doesn't hate anyone. He doesn't show any partiality to anyone. He is equal to all. The same way, a person in complete knowledge, he is also equal to all. He doesn't make any difference. He is equally kind to all living beings. So this is one of the symptoms of having complete knowledge. And because he is situated in transcendence, he is flawless like Brahman. He is thoroughly cleansed of all misgivings. He is having no impurities in his heart. Therefore, he doesn't make any distinction between different living beings. He is equal to all living beings. So therefore, he conquers the cycle of birth and death, and he becomes completely liberated. Further, Krishna says, Na prahrishyet priyam prapya nodvijet prapya cha priyam sthira buddhira sammodho brahmavid brahmani sthita. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, unbewildered, and who knows the signs of God, is to be understood as already situated in transcendence. The first symptom of a self-realized soul is he is not in illusion by the false ego that I am this body. Generally in this material world, those who are all conditioned by this material body, they think that I am this body, and they work on that material platform. I am a man, I am a woman, I am an Indian, I am an American, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor. These are all called false egos. Actually, the real position of the soul is eternal servant of Krishna. This is real ego. So one who has complete knowledge about the self, that I am part of Krishna, I am eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes free from all false egos, and then he is self-intelligent, is unbewildered. He doesn't become bewildered by pleasures or pains in this material world. He is not happy by receiving something pleasurable, or he doesn't lament when he loses something, because he knows everything in this world belongs to Krishna. Nothing belongs to him. So he is not disturbed by so-called loss or gain, happiness or distress in this material world. So this is the effect of being situated in transcendental knowledge. Further, Lord Krishna says, Bahyasparsheshva saktatma vindati atmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure or external objects, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. In this material world, those who are entrapped in this material body, for them, happiness is bodily pleasures, sensual pleasures, which ultimately culminates in sex pleasure. But those who are enlightened by complete knowledge, they know that I am not this body and they have nothing to do with the pains and pleasures of this material body. They derive pleasure by connecting themselves through love and devotion with the Supreme Lord, and they perform devotional service just to please the Supreme Lord. By pleasing the Supreme Lord, they derive unlimited pleasure. So, the spiritual pleasure which they get by serving the Supreme Lord is so relishable, so enjoyable, so unlimited, that the material sensual pleasures which culminates in sex pleasure in this material world, it becomes very, very insignificant for a transcendentalist, for a devotee who is enjoying unlimited spiritual pleasure. So this is the difference between a materialist and a spiritualist. A spiritualist doesn't like to enjoy any sort of sense pleasure. He avoids sex pleasure altogether, because he is enjoying himself the true pleasure of the soul by serving the Supreme Lord. So that is why he doesn't like to take any pleasure in material body. Further, Krishna says, Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhayo naevate adyantavantah kaunteya nate shuramate buddha. An intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery which are due to contact with material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. So, material pleasures are temporary because the body itself is temporary, and a spiritualist, a person in complete knowledge, he doesn't take any pleasure in material bodily sense enjoyment, because he knows that I am not the body, I am eternal spirit soul, my relationship is with the Supreme Lord Krishna. He derives unlimited pleasure by being in contact with the Supreme Lord, hearing his pastimes, hearing his bhajans, kirtans, singing the glories of the Lord, telling people about the Supreme Lord, describing his glories, going around and encouraging people to become devotees of Krishna, constructing temples of Krishna, worshipping the deity forms of Krishna. In that way, a spiritualist is busy in so many activities just for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, and by trying to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord, he derives unlimited spiritual pleasure, which is the pleasure of the soul. So when the soul is enjoying spiritually by serving Krishna, he is not at all interested by the bodily sensual pleasures. So bodily sensual pleasures have a beginning and an end, and the spiritualist has nothing to do. He doesn't enjoy the pleasures of the body at all. Therefore, a wise man, he doesn't take any pleasure in bodily sense pleasures. Further, Krishna says, Shaknoti haiva yassodham praksharira vimokshanat kama krododbhavam vegam sayukta sasukhe naraha. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is a yogi and is happy in this world. Actually, this material body, especially the human form of life, is meant for spiritual elevation. So it is said by Lord Rishabhadeva in Srimad Bhagavatam that Nayam deho deha bhajam ruloke kashtan kaman arhate vidbhujamye tapo divyam putraka ena sattvam shuddhyet brahma saukyam tu anantam. Lord Rishabhadeva, he explains that this human form of life is not meant to enjoy material sense pleasures which are available even in the lower species such as dogs and hogs. Dogs and hogs, any species, they enjoy sense pleasures without any hard work. So human beings also should not work hard for achieving these material sense pleasures which are anyway freely available in all the species of life. Lord Rishabhadeva advises, instead of going for sense pleasures, we have to control the senses, we have to undergo austerities for spiritual elevation. Controlling the senses means utilizing the body and bodily senses only for activities which are meant for spiritual elevation. We can utilize our eyes to see the beautiful form of the Lord. We can use our nose to smell the fragrance of flowers which are offered at the lotus feet of the Lord. We can use our ears to hear about the glories of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord. We can use our tongue to glorify the holy names of the Lord, to describe the pastimes of the Lord, and to taste the Mahaprasadam of the Lord. We can use our skin touch sensation in touching the devotees of the Lord. In that way, we can utilize our body for becoming more and more attracted, more and more attached to the Supreme Lord Krishna and his devotional activities. And we should avoid all sorts of sense pleasures. So in this way, when we live in this material world, we will become completely purified by lust, greed and anger. This is a symptom of advancement in spiritual life. Advancement in spiritual life means one should be thoroughly detached from body sense pleasures, and one should derive pleasure of the soul by pleasing the Supreme Lord. We need enjoyment. We cannot live without enjoyment. But we have to derive true enjoyment by serving the Supreme Lord. When a devotee serves the Supreme Lord, because we are all parts of the Lord, when the Lord is pleased, all the parts of the Lord gets pleasure. So by pleasing the Lord, the devotee derives unlimited pleasure. So this is the way we have to enjoy. And a self-realized soul, one who is having complete knowledge, he enjoys within because he is completely connected with the Supreme Lord. He can sit in any place and he enjoys the happiness of life because he is completely connected with the Lord through love and devotion. He does not require any external arrangement, any external bodily sense pleasures for his enjoyment. He is always happy because he has achieved true knowledge that I am eternal servant of Krishna. Further, Krishna says, Yonta sukontararamas tatantar jyotirevayah sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhutodi gacchati. One whose happiness is within, who is active within, who rejoices within and is illumined within is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme and ultimately he attains the Supreme. So as I was explaining, because of complete knowledge, a pure devotee of Krishna, he is always enjoying within because he is in touch with the super soul in the heart. The Lord is there in the heart. He is completely connected with the Supreme Lord. He knows the Supreme Lord's desires and he is active in serving the Supreme Lord. The Lord wants all the living beings to go back to him. So, an enlightened soul, a devotee, he works hard in preaching the message of Krishna, preaching Bhagavad Gita to all the living beings, especially the human beings, because in human form of life we can understand transcendental knowledge. So a devotee is busy distributing the message of Bhagavad Gita he enlightens as many souls as possible so that they can give up false material enjoyment and enjoy truly by performing devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So in this way, he is busy in serving the Lord, and he enjoys within himself the transcendental pleasure of making more and more people surrender to Krishna. He gets pleasure in seeing the number of devotees increase, and he is very, very happy. And even if people don't take up to devotion, he is happy because he has put all his efforts to please the Lord, and the Lord is pleased by his efforts. So in this way, a devotee is very happy within, he rejoices within, he does not require any other external material enjoyment, material sense pleasures, or anyone's appreciation. He is connected with the Supreme, and after giving up this body, he enters to the spiritual world to enter into the spiritual kingdom of the Lord and enjoy eternally with the Supreme Lord. So further what Krishna explains, let us understand in the next section. Hare Krishna.